No, so I was saying to him that, oh, hey, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you roam, wherever you are living, or wherever you are hanging out. It is so good to have you with us once again for another exciting webinar. We're going to get started in just a minute, but first of all, a puppet behind me again. He had a big night, so if we could just all keep it down, that'd be great. Hopefully you can see just below him picture of, well, my Hall of Fame. I've got my dad, I've got my favorite son Murphy, and I've got a tribute to Gavin MacLeod. That's my my wall of fame, let's say it. And sorry, I missed you from Quebec City. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining. Where are you from? Let's tune in and just find out where you guys are tuning in from. Sorry, Jeanette from Moncton, New Brunswick. I believe that's in Canada. It says it there on the screen. It is from Canada. I've never been to New Brunswick, Canada. Someday. And then Betty from Houston. I have been to Houston. I was at the Super Bowl there a few years ago. And I've driven from Houston to Galveston. That is not a pleasant drive, by the way. And Dawn from Iowa. Welcome, Dawn. Good to have you with us. And let's also not forget the most important thing here. Hi, Sharon from Lake Mary, Florida. How's my hair doing? I like to say I have the best forehead in the business, but I'm hanging on to some follicles up there, and I'm going to give it about a 9.5 today out of 10. Cindy from Suwanee, Georgia. I believe, Cindy, you have dialed in before. Good to have you back. We got Roy from snowy Winnipeg, Manitoba. Roy, I don't want to depress you, but it is 70 degrees here today. It's going to be a high of 79. It was 90 2 days ago here in beautiful Southern California. And Christy from Fresno. Oh, you were just on the Majestic. Well, we were so happy you were able to sail with us, Christy. Hopefully you had a great time. And so nice to hear feedback and stories from people as they're returning from cruises. And I was just on one, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But it's really great to have you all with us and to hear your feedback. Laura from Regina, Saskatchewan. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Never been there, but I'm sure it's lovely for about 2 months out of the year. It's probably 4 feet of snow for you right now, so good luck with your snow shovel there. And Escape, an affiliate of Pearl Travel from the Windy City. I've never been to St. Louis. I'm kidding. Chicago. Love it. All right, let's get going and let's have some fun today. You're going to learn a lot, and we are so excited to be here with you all. As always, I am John Cherneski here with some photos of me, my lovely family, and all the trips we've taken. We're talking the Caribbean. We're talking Japan, Belize in there, Alaska, some great underwater shots from Hawaii even. So you have, we're very spoiled and have traveled the world. And so I want to say, for those that are on Facebook, we have the transcript option available. Just turn the captions on and everything will say, we say will be closed captioned for you to make that easy. Do stick around at the end. We've got the Q&A session. Well, if you have questions during, go ahead and throw them in there and we may be able to cover them, but we had a ton that were submitted ahead of time. And we're also going to do a pre and a post poll to understand a survey of your knowledge of what we're here to talk about today, which is the new Celebration Group Program. For those in Facebook, sorry that it doesn't work in YouTube, we're going to ask you a survey question to rate your knowledge of the new Celebration Group Program. We've only just announced it, so I expect not many of you will say you are an expert, but we'll see. And so we want to see how effective are we here today. So please do fill out the survey. Take a couple seconds and do that. We appreciate it. Now, I just mentioned that I was traveling last week. I was on the Enchanted Princess with 600 of my closest travel advisor friends and their significant other friend, who might have been another travel advisor, could have been a spouse who has nothing to do with this industry. It was the very first time the Enchanted Princess had welcomed any guests, and she was delivered to us about 400 days prior. So the fact that we were able to be the very first ones to be on board was really special for us, and the crew did an amazing job. Now, this picture I'm showing here, we asked the photographer to take the picture of us and the special caption and screen we had on the Movies Under the Stars screen. He didn't quite understand how to do that the other way, so we can't even see the Movies Under the Star screen. But Joe took this picture right before we took the official picture, because we had our thank you travel advisors with my puppet and my bobblehead there. And there we were getting ready for the group photo. So, all right, with that, it's a great picture. With that, let's bring in our very special guest, Marcia. She is not new to the stage, but it's good to have you with us, Marcia.
Thank you, John. Hey, everybody. Super excited to be here.
Welcome. And there's some pictures of you and your lovely family.
They are some pictures of me and my husband in Europe, and then Trevi Fountain, and then my kids when we were sailing on the Caribbean Princess, actually in the Caribbean. Fantastic time.
Well,
Can't
I'll
wait
tell
to
you
get back.
what, that picture of you and Trevi Fountain, if you can get a picture in front of the Trevi Fountain with no other tourists there with you, it is a miracle. You must be there at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I know. I gave up, and I'm like, you know what? They're just going to have to be in it.
Well, I love it. Okay, I think we have the results of the survey. The poll results are in. Let's see where you guys are. Drum roll, please. So 4% of you think you're already a genius. I love it.
Wow.
12% solid grasp, 42% very basic, and then 42% deer in the headlights. And I'm part of that 43%. So that is why Marcia Marcia, we are Princess. We're Princess Cruises.
Yes.
And I like to think of myself as a princess, but you are truly the queen of the groups. Are you okay with that title?
I'm okay. I'm a queen supported by lots of other people.
Well, you have been instrumental over the last few months, feels like a few decades. We've been working on this project, and we have really rolled up our sleeves to get it to be as good as we're about to unveil. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done. Hey, Drew. I agree. John, who cares about Drew? Drew's my brother from another mother over at
Drew.
Carnival. So good to have you, Drew, with us. Love it. And so I just want to say thank you, Marcia, for all the work you've done to get to where we are. And the reason I'm putting this all on your shoulders is because if everybody hates it, then it's your fault. But if you all love the program, clearly you know who to thank, right? That's how it works.
Okay. I got broad shoulders. I can take it.
Okay, so let us dive in. And I just want to remind everybody about our health and safety standards. We still get questions on this, but I think you all are becoming experts in all of our policies, which, by the way, the website at the bottom there is the best resource for information about our health and safety policies. Prince.com, Cruise Health FAQ. You can search in there. You can see it's highlighted what's been recently updated. The biggest update I think that's been made, of course, is that because of the approval of the vaccination for kids 5 to 11, previously it was 12 and up, we now have 5 to 11, for those families that are getting their kids vaccinated, as long as they're fully vaccinated, with that 2 weeks, the last dose has to be delivered 2 weeks prior to embarkation, you're good to go. And so we really hope come this holiday cruise, Christmas, New Year's season, that we're going to see some kids on board. And so we're really thrilled about that. And then obviously leading into spring break and then summer of next year, I'm sure more and more people will get vaccinated. And so that is a very good sign for us. We still require the pre-cruise testing within 2 days of embarkation. And, this could be perhaps one of the most stressful parts of taking the trip. I've been on, 4 cruises over the last few months, some mostly short cruises, and it is a little stress. You got to get it scheduled. You got to get your results back in time. Just know that if for some reason you don't get your results back in time, you can get tested at the terminal before you get on board. So that I would call that the safety net. Do not rely on that. Your clients should not rely on that as their main source of getting tested, but it is a safety net. Marcia, you've done the at-home testing, right?
I have. Yeah, it's really easy. I love the at-home testing. It gets delivered to your door whenever you're ready. You actually don't even need to set an appointment. You're able to log on, say you're ready, take the test where it's monitored via your webcam on your laptop, and your results are there in 15 minutes. So it's super easy.
Just make sure it's the telemed supervised version of the at-home test. You can't just do the at-home test and you do it on your own and off you go. So you have to make sure it is supervised. So Denise, the cost at port, my understanding is that it's covered by health insurance. And so if there is a charge for you there, and what is our charge? I can't remember what our charge is, Marcia.
Last I heard was $150, but I thought they were working to get that down. So
Yeah.
the most it would be is $150, but I think they were working to get it to be a little less expensive.
Yeah, and then you can claim that through your health insurance. So it shouldn't cost you anything out of pocket at the end of the day. So anyway, go to that website. We're not here to talk about health and safety, but if you have any questions that are burning, please put them in the Q&A. We'll try and get to them. But for the most part, we think our policies are pretty clear in terms of what we're requiring, and that website is your best resource for sure. Now, when you think of Princess, a lot of people they say a couple things. Medallion class, your Polar Online is amazing. Your Princess Groups program is best in class because of many things: flexibility, combinability, it's automation. And so because of that, I think we're just going to stop right there. We can't get any better. And we'll just end the webinar right here. Do you agree, Marcia, or no?
No. I'm so glad you invited me because there's so much more to talk about, John.
Ooh, okay.
Remember that whole
I should have read this before.
Yeah. It was a lot of work we did. We went on that whole listening tour. I should have tested you to make sure you were listening.
You know, my wife often says I don't listen, and I think she may be onto something here. No, I'm kidding, of course. We have done some amazing work. Marcia has led the charge on that. And the most important part of this process is not just we only know what we know, right? And to
Yeah.
engage with our so many different travel partners. I want to give a shout out if she's listening to KK for all the work she's done. And really getting their feedback
Yeah.
has been instrumental. And because of that, we've been able to revamp and create this new program.
Right. So when we asked, you guys absolutely shared. You're not a shy group.
No,
You had lots of feedback. There
no.
was a lot of things we were doing really well, and then there were some things where we could get better. So, and what we thought we could get better on, what came to top of mind right away was the affinity group space. And so when we dug into that, we learned there's a lot of different types of affinity groups, right? There's big affinity groups that need a lot of venue space, need a lot of coordination before they get on board, and then they're going to have different meetups in different places. And then there's these smaller groups that they're celebrating different things. They're there to celebrate grandma's 80th birthday, or possibly a family reunion, or even something as simple as passing the bar, right? So there's all these reasons why you're sailing, but we have a commitment to cover all of those types of affinity groups. So we thought we would lean in first to these small affinity groups. That was a space that we were already doing fairly well in. We felt like we could quickly turn some things around and be able to even more improve the offerings for small affinity groups. So when we talked to you, what you said was, John, sorry, can you go back?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, what you said was there were some things that were important to having a successful affinity small group. Pricing and value needs to be consistent. This is a small group of people who talk to each other. They know what they paid. They all want the same deal, or at least have had the opportunity to all have the same deal. Double name changes were important. Being able to save the cabins that you have, so carefully crafted together, being able to keep those cabins together if something were to happen and Uncle Tom or Uncle Sue can't go anymore, right? So also having a TC conductor that was competitive, and that is money that sometimes either keep for yourself or you actually use it to enhance the group, right? So if it's competitive, then maybe you can add like a special family T-shirt or something for the group. Having creative amenity points. So having some amenity options that are specific to these types of groups' needs. And then recall dates. Consumers don't necessarily understand a recall. They don't understand why I had space today and it's gone tomorrow, right? So those are things we had to take into consideration.
I'm glad you were taking notes on all of those calls because that is good. Define
Yes,
small. That's a good question, Peg.
yes, we are going to define small. It's coming
You
right
wait,
up, Peg.
Peg. It's coming.
Yep. So, John,
Yes.
I know you weren't listening, but what did we
No.
decide to do?
Did we create a program? I think we have a
We
new program, right?
did.
It's
We
the new
created.
Princess Celebration Group program. And for those of you that joined us on the Enchanted Princess last weekend, we actually introduced this for the first time on board, got some great feedback from you. But we really feel like this is a sweet spot that we can collectively take advantage of because, like you said, those missed opportunities to celebrate major milestones of life, birthdays, anniversaries, what have you. Now people have that chance. And this program is specifically suited to the celebration group where people know each other. They're not strangers, and this is their chance to get together and benefit from cruising together, right?
Yeah. There were a lot of people involved to be able to pull off this program. So probably far too many to name, but I just want to thank everybody behind the scenes that came together to put all of these special pieces together for this subset of our clients. So super
Yep.
excited.
Yep. Is there anything else here we need to talk about? We're going to go through all of the key components, right? It was
Yep.
really,
It's
we're going to
it's
roll up our
really
sleeves a little bit to
yeah,
get
it's
into
really
it.
that we wanted to build in flexibility. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different offerings in a lot of different spaces with other brands. But what we found would be key here is to give you guys the tools to be able to build the type of group that's going to work for your guest, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Not put you in a box.
Yep.
So price. So the first thing we talked about originally was that price was key. So what we're offering is flexibility, and you're going to see that weaved throughout this program offering. Flexibility and price. So we will, if you request one of these groups, it will default to Princess Plus group rate. Princess Plus is the most often utilized price point for us. So that's why we're going to default to the most often used type of group rate. So it's the Princess Plus group rate, but the flexibility comes in. Maybe your group, for some reason, doesn't want Princess Plus. You can also build your group with everyone having Princess Saver, right? Or you can actually have a combination of both. So you could have Princess Plus and then decide there's just a couple of bookings within the group who don't want the Princess Plus value. So that rate, whatever that rate is at the time that you create the group, will be locked in until the group sales. Of course, it's subject to availability. So as long as there's still space to sell, you can have the rate that you were given for that group.
It seems pretty consistent and great feedback saying that is important because people talk, they share notes, and they want to have that consistency across. So there you go.
Yes. Allocation. So Peg, this was your question about what is small. So for us, the minimum is 5 staterooms, right? 10 guests, and the maximum of 20 staterooms, 40 guests. So it's a real sweet spot. Honestly, these groups tend to be smaller than 20 staterooms, but we gave a little wiggle room in case it does get a little bigger. The allocation that you select for your group, that's where you get to pick the cabin types. Like you might have, 4 or 5 balconies and then a couple inside and then maybe a mini suite or 2. You get to keep that allocation for 60 days from the date the group is open. And we picked 60 days because what we heard from our trade partners that we spoke with was that these groups come together fairly quickly. They're usually coming to you with at least 1 to 2 bookings right out the gate. And then you just spend a little time talking to them about who's the rest of the family that wants to join you. And they end up booking pretty quick. So we picked a 60-day window because it looks like you're normally well within that. And then also the 60 days gives a call to action, a little sense of urgency for them to get their group together and get them booked with you. No bulk deposit. So, we went to a maximum of 20 staterooms. So if you take out 20 staterooms in this group space, there will not be a bulk deposit required for that number.
But then once you start adding bookings, then the deposit program begins.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. The deposit is on the booking.
Yeah. Oh, there's KK.
Woohoo! KK.
Thank you, KK. If we have bookings, well, that's a good question. I don't know if we're going to cover that later. If we have bookings already, can we turn them into a celebration group now? So that's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. And we looked into that. And thank you for your pre-registration questions, because of that, I have the answer to this. So if you already had bookings and they are truly celebrating something and qualify for this group, if you still have the space to be able to create a group, and if the voyage is open to groups, you can create a group and add those bookings into it.
Right. Yeah. I honestly see this as a huge upsell opportunity for every conversation that involves, a client that wants to make a booking, or maybe like you have in this case, you've got a few bookings that have already been made on a sailing, and you think there's opportunity for them to add more from their friends and family list, not just strangers, obviously, but from people that they know. It's a great conversation to say, well, did you happen to miss out on celebrating a major milestone in your life or anybody that's traveling? And would you like to create a group that is the minimum of 5 staterooms? Right. And if you think you can get that, here's the added benefits you get. And so I think it's a great conversation starter for you to have with all of your clients about every booking that comes in.
Absolutely. Right. One of the easiest sales tips is that when you're talking to a guest, you should always be asking who wants to go with you, right? Always ask that question. There's always, because it even happens to myself. I'll plan a trip and then later on I'm telling someone I'm going and they're like, I want to go, or I would have wanted to go if you had told me about it. So it's nice to ask that question. There's always people.
I've noticed that you don't tell me when you're cruising, Marcia, that it's always like, oh, by the way, I'm leaving tomorrow. I wonder what that is about. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about amenity points, because that is an important part of this.
Amenity points. So we're giving 2 additional amenity points for these groups. And what that means is with our standard group program, you get more points the earlier you open the group space, right? So the closer you open it to product launch, the greater the chances are that you're going to have the maximum number of amenity points. So let's say you open one of these celebration groups soon after the product release has happened, and you've got 4 points for the standard group. When you add it or make this a celebrations group, it now becomes 6 points. So whatever points you're getting for the standard, we're adding 2 additional to give you a little extra wiggle room to do something special for these families who are celebrating together. We're also working on a new group amenity point list. So it's a little more detailed and involved than we thought, and we were hoping to have it for launch, but we're working on it and we're coming very close to be able to present something very nice for you all. There'll be new options, things that are going to really appeal to this type of group.
Yeah, it's we're working through it very carefully to make sure it's the best menu to choose from based on whether it's a birthday or anniversary, what have you. So we definitely think this is great options moving forward. And then TC, the torque conductor ratio, you mentioned that earlier,
I
as our
did.
default obviously is 1:16. We're given some flexibility now to help make that a little more lucrative if that's what you want to do.
Correct. So, we don't want to assume that you automatically want a TC of 1 for 10, 1 for 12, or 1 for 14. It's really up to the group's needs, right? And then what you're working on specifically for that family or family group. So, you have the option to reduce the TCs using your points to 1 for 10, 12, or 14. And you most often will have enough points to do that on your own. If you're working with this group and you find that you need a little extra wiggle room, you can contact your business development manager and they will have the ability to work with you and see if there's anything additional we can do to help out.
Yep, that's great. That flexibility is so key. And then name changes. Well, this is such an important part of this. And when we presented this on Enchanted, this it's got a big round of applause. I think this is pretty special.
It did, yeah. And then the way that was explained to me when I was talking to our trade partners was that the reason it's so important to be able to change the name is that you worked really hard to get these cabins together. And our current policy is that you have to keep one original person on. So in some cases, you can't do that. And then you have to cancel the booking, possibly lose the cabin, and then rebook the whole thing. So here we found that it is important, and we're going to give you the ability to double name change, meaning you don't have to cancel the cabin up until 21 days prior to sailing. So we're
Yeah,
excited
because
about that.
yeah, I mean, you think of any family, things happen. I can't go now, but this person wants to go, and that's life, right? Things happen, and so this just gives you that comfort to know that we are going to let you be as flexible as your group needs to be, right?
Yep.
And then recalls.
And then recalls, again, we mentioned they're not easily understood by a consumer. So we wanted to minimize this as much as we can. The group space that we talked about, the allocation, goes away at 61 days. So you have 60 days to get them booked into the space that you had dedicated for the group. If they don't book within that time, you can still book them. You're just subject to availability on the voyage, right? You just don't have the dedicated allocation. If you're also very close and you have somebody who, they're going to book maybe next week and you want them, it's really important that they have a cabin close to the rest of the group. You can block a specific stateroom. You just have to put up front the stateroom deposit, and then you can add the names for that at a later time.
Yep,
So that is another option if losing all of the space at 61 days becomes an issue.
that's great. Ah, see, woohoo on the double name
Woohoo!
changes. That's
Double
great.
name changes.
Patty's asked the question about whether these groups apply to cruise tours, and I think it's a great question. Unfortunately, they don't, right?
No, they do.
That
John,
I gotta check
remember?
my notes. Where are my notes? No, they do, Patty.
Yes, it does apply to cruise tour. So if you have a cruise tour group, you can have a cruise tour celebration program group. Yep.
Yep. We're super excited. And then, when you go on a trip like this with a celebration group, you got your family, your friends with you, you typically want to dine together. That's kind of important, right? So
Well,
we've been able to empower this program to be supported by Dine My Way, I should say. So
yeah.
we're excited for that.
So there were a lot of questions pre-registration about the dining situation, and we're going to answer some more towards the end. But specifically for this program, we're really excited to be able to announce that if you're booked within this program, that you are going to have early access to Dine My Way. So there's only 3 other ways that you can have early access to Dine My Way, and that is if you've been final paid, if you were booked in a suite, or if you had loyalty status of platinum or elite with us. So now celebration groups is the 4th way to have early access to dining. We realize it's important. These celebration groups are usually celebrating around a meal, right? They usually want a birthday cake or an anniversary cake or a toast, a champagne, something around a meal. So you've got to be able to be together to do that, right? So once the bookings are deposited, then the travel advisor or the guest can start to confirm the dining. And John, this is actually a little segue into also, Dine My Way is currently only available via the Medallion app, right?
Yep.
But we're also building that web-based platform so that you could also do these same functions on your computer, right?
Yep.
And that's coming before the end of the year. I got to see a demo not too long ago, so we're really excited. It will be here absolutely before the end of the year.
Yeah, so that is a great point to bring up, not only for Dine My Way, but the first element of that via the web is going to be getting Ocean ready. So if your clients don't have a smartphone, or maybe they do and they don't know how to use it, and you need to help them out, you're going to be able to do that through a web browser for both getting Ocean ready, and then right after that, we'll have Dine My Way functionality. But I just want to bring this up and just repeat what you've just said, because I think it's so important. With Dine My Way accessibility, like let's say I've booked summer 2023 and I'm doing a cruise to Alaska. I'm doing a cruise tour to Alaska. If you right now or just make that booking and you're not in a suite, you're not platinum or elite, and you haven't final paid, you can't make those dining reservations until you final pay. But
Correct.
now for your celebration group, because you've got 20 people together and they all want to dine together, they're just planners, they want to coordinate and make sure they're good to go. They now, or you can help them do it, make those reservations now for their dinner plans basically a year and a half or 2 years from now, which is pretty great.
Very, very
Yeah.
great.
So,
It's a key component for these small groups.
yeah, and then another thing, because obviously Dine My Way is part of Medallion Class, and it's a great reminder of how Medallion Class really will help transform the actual experience on board. I mean,
Yeah.
Medallion Class is a game changer for anybody that's just cruising. A couple goes out and they cruise, and you're on your own, and it's amazing. And
Yep.
we've all lived it and experienced it, and giving more time back, which is the most important asset we all have in this life. And
Yep.
now with a group, you're taking advantage of all of those core fundamentals, right, of Medallion Class that you can see here, but you can communicate with each other via the Messenger app. If you bought Princess Plus, you can have Wi-Fi and you can do texting if that's what you want to do. You want to do WhatsApp, what have you. I didn't mean to say that together. You can plan your group activities using Journey View. And so this is functionality we're building to make it that much better. And we hope to announce it officially, but this is where we're heading. You can find your way around the ship, but also you can find other people in your group. Where is my family? We were supposed to meet before dinner for drinks. And so I think that convenience and all the other things you can see there is really going to change how a group experiences on board.
Yep. And John, you reminded me too that we're always working on other features, but we've also got 2 new features that we're working on in relationship to Princess Celebration groups. So these people know each other, right? They're family, close friends. They all know each other. So it makes sense that when they get on board to experience Medallion, that they should automatically be able to contact each other, right? The current process for our Medallion is that you have to reach out to that person and ask to become a contact. But with these groups, we are going to have the ability that they will automatically be linked together for the Medallion purposes, and then they can automatically contact each other, right? One less barrier to being able to communicate. And then the other thing is that in Dine My Way, when you're registering or going to try and schedule dining for someone, you need their booking number, right? For celebration groups, coming soon, you won't need the booking number because you know each other. You're all you don't need their booking number. You all know each other. You will be able to automatically schedule dining for people within the group that are booked within this close-knit group of people. So
and not
excited.
that you would all do this, but this is a good reminder of why you should only create a celebration group for people that are truly a celebration group. Because if you just say, oh, well, I'm going to get a couple extra amenity points, I'm going to create like a mini spec group. Well, you don't want to do that, because then those people are going to see each other. They're going to be able to mess with their dining. They're going to be able to, you want to keep this really for those people that are a true celebration
As
group.
my daddy would say, they will be madder than a wet hen.
Hens don't like to get wet. You're right. That's a good point. I love that. But listen, that's all great stuff, but it doesn't stop there. And as you can see, I'm a bit of a graphic artist snob. It's kind of my thing in the part-time. So I updated this beautiful, original image from the cartoons. And you can see that's not all, folks. And so, yes, congratulations to me for my amazing artistry. We've also got a lot of requests about our amazing Easier program and how this can help support groups. So we're super excited about this.
Yeah, so we actually got a commitment that it will be available to book your group air again as soon as January 1 of 2022. So super excited. We had put this on hiatus given the pause in operations and everything, but we had a lot of comments about the program and how well it does in the space. That it's easy to book group air. You have an opportunity for those who are traveling together, and it's just a sweet spot for these celebration groups, right? They're likely to be traveling from the same air city. So if they're coming from the same air city, you can work directly with our air department and secure a group block of air so that everybody's on the same flight together. And then, in the days and the craziness of everything that's going on, it's nice to have someone taking care of air for you, right?
Yeah.
You also have the air price advantage because we have great contracts with the airlines. So there's a good, you're definitely getting a good deal on the air. And then there are deviations allowed, which means you're able to go in early or possibly stay later. Maybe you want to go into Florida a couple days early with the family, get on the ship, and then come back maybe a day or two later. You can deviate on either side. So it's a really great offering, and we've heard a lot of positive things about it, so we're happy to bring it back.
Yeah, and the fact that the feedback that was basically saying, given the hassle of dealing with multiple airlines, and if you have problems over the last year and a half, which we all have, that Princess Easy Air gives you that flexibility, and we, through the flexible program, will represent that for you. It's just that was one of the big selling points for us to bring this back. That the convenience, the pricing, the flexibility, all the benefits Marsha just explained now for your group, your celebration group is really quite amazing. Now, if they originate from a different city, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I love the specificity. You got Texas and Phoenix, Cynthia. The Easy Air program still applies, but how does it work then for a group?
Yeah, so I need to confirm. So we will have greater communication over the program, giving you all the details. But there is like a minimum number in order to secure the space. And I don't recall what that is. So we'll go into the details later and probably another webinar when we can talk just about Easy Air groups.
Yep.
But if they're coming from different air cities, you'd have to have a minimum number of people from each of those air cities to be able to have a group air program, right? So we will get more information for you.
Yeah, and it's not to say you can't use Easy Air for those bookings. It's just to have our team manage it for the same flight because people want to fly together. That's really what that's about. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
more details to come. So we're super excited to be reintroducing the Easy Air group program starting January 1. We're looking forward to that. And then over the last year and a half, one of the things we introduced to really give people some comfort was we did our Cruise with Confidence program, which included Book with Confidence. Obviously, we recommend everybody get the Princess Vacation Protection. If you're traveling today without some sort of travel insurance, then I think you're very optimistic. Let's just say you need that safety net whenever you travel, and Princess Vacation Protection was enhanced, and the coverages is amazing. But we also introduced the Princess Promise, and this was our way of formalizing the ability for the team on board to consistently solve problems in the moment. The last thing we want your clients to do is to have a bad experience. It could be, something happened in the dining room or whatever, some small issue that doesn't get resolved on board. Then they stew about it and it just ruins their vacation. They get home, they send you a nasty email or they send us one, and then we've missed a chance to make it right. And so that's really what the Princess Promise is about, is empowering the shipboard team to consistently solve the problem in the moment and do everything they can to make it right. And so as we look to this program, the group program, we wanted to make sure there was a similar, feeling of comfort that we're going to do everything we can to support these new celebration groups. And Marsha, I hope it's okay. I know the marketing team, the creative services team is still working on the new group promise, the Princess Group Promise, but I took the liberty of just creating it right here. So I don't even know if we need anything else. But the Princess Group Promise is happening effective January 1. Do you want to explain it in some detail?
Sure. So, and you've done such a good job on this. I can just cancel my ticket request and we could use this from now on.
We're good.
So the promise itself states, Princess is committed to ensuring the delivery of a personalized experience tailored specifically to your group needs while on board. We respond to any group inquiry before or after your group's cruise experience within 3 business days. If you're not satisfied, we promise to make it right. And that is the overarching guarantee that we offer with Princess Promise. So we are sitting under that umbrella, but specifically calling it out for our commitment to groups and the success of these groups with us.
Yeah, so that's great. So Patty's asking, when does it begin?
Yeah, great question. And it actually started, and it was effective as of yesterday. So we'll get to how you can book it, but as of yesterday, you could create a celebrations group with us, and then we'll share the details of how to do it.
Yeah, I think what's so important about this promise as well is calling out the response time. And that's something that we heard feedback on, that we weren't good about responding to inquiries or trying to confirm space for larger groups. And so that is something that our team is working on, and that's the 3 business days we will get back to. We may not solve the problem completely in 3 business days, but we're going to at least make sure you have a contact, and we'll get it taken care of. And just so you know, there's a dialogue, and that we're going to resolve it as soon as possible. And then another element, of course, is the ownership on board. And so
Yeah.
we're really thrilled to have this new position.
Absolutely. So this actually points to the fact that we talked about there are other types of affinity groups where we could do better, right? So we're leaning in with Celebrations group program to the smaller groups, but the ones who usually bring on large numbers of people and need venue confirmations and spaces to hold private events and things, those kind of things. Usually the larger type groups. They're really going to love the fact that we have a loyalty and events manager now dedicated on board each of our ships. So it's available on all of our ships. And as we return to service, each ship has their newly appointed loyalty and events manager. And in the last couple of months, John, you and I have had the opportunity to work with a couple, right?
Yeah. And we just on Enchanted Princess, this is Isla from Scotland, and she was amazing. I like to say that you can train people to do a certain task, but it's hard to train somebody to just have a passion for being kind and service oriented to other people, right?
Right.
It's part of your DNA. And Isla has that in her DNA. She was so attentive, just enjoyed every moment we spent with her, and her proactiveness and responsiveness was just really impressive and encouraging for us. And so Isla
Yeah.
is one of the first loyalty and events managers out there, and we're thrilled to have her on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Tina, who was
Yeah.
our loyalty and events manager on Majestic Princess, and she also did a fabulous job. So
Yes,
we're
same
really
thing.
excited. Yeah.
Like, wow, we're doing great. So happy to have them here. And like you say, this is really not meant for celebration groups, but if your celebration group is on board and they need a little help, they're available to support whatever their needs are. But this is
Right.
really meant for that larger group that is a little more demanding when it comes to scheduling things and getting resources on board. So creating the group, Marcia, I imagine you have to fax us to create a group. Is that what you have to do?
What
Fax
is
machine?
fax?
What is
What's
the
fax?
fax number? 1-800. Okay.
You're trying to age me. I don't know what a fax is, John. You're not going to get me.
Okay.
Okay, so we wanted to make this easy, right? So one of the positives and great things about our current group program, which as a reminder, our current group program is still in place, right? So we still have our promotional and speculative group opportunity. This celebrations program is in addition to that. So it's another element of our group program. We wanted to make it easy because the other version of our group program is easy. And that's one of the things we hear from you guys. In fact, more often you're using Polar Online to create a group than you are calling in, which means this tool is easy to use, and we've done a good job of sharing how easy it is, right? So it's only 3 steps to create a Polar Online group, and we're going to keep that same practice for celebrating a celebrations group. So you get to select the affinity code CG. It's called
Oh, hold on. You did the group name here, Marcia's 21st birthday? Who is the Marcia you're referring to, Marcia?
Are you going to question my age on live TV?
Nope. Love the name of the group.
Thank you. I am 21 today. I like that. I should have done that earlier. Back you into a corner. So it's 3 easy steps, and all you have to do is select the code CG for celebration group. And then you also need to name it. So this is a key component of creating one of these groups. You have to pick CG for celebrations groups, and then you need to name it and tell us what type of celebration this is, right? It's important for us to understand it. It's going to help us to understand who's sailing with us, track it, how could we do better? Maybe there's a lot of birthday groups and we need to put more into this amenity point list that has to do with birthdays, right? So we need to know what's happening, and please make sure it's included in the name. Once you've done that, then behind the scenes, there's going to be this fantastic group department that within 72 hours is going to add all the different elements that we've agreed for this group for you, and then trigger the contract so that you have all the details for the group. The good thing is that when you're creating a group on Polar Online, you have all the important information to still be able to talk to your clients while we're doing the background stuff, right? So you're able to get the price, you know what the price point is, and you're also able to select the allocation yourself, so you know what categories you're talking about. And then behind the scenes, over the next 72 hours, we're adding the details of the extra amenity points, making sure that you're able to do your double name changes, all those special details, and then send you a new contract out that has all that ready for you. And then the other great thing is that you can then continue to manage this group on Polar Online. You can make your individual bookings into the group yourself on Polar Online. We're not going to force you into the contact center or make you have to chat or do anything additional. It's still all manageable on Polar Online.
So this is creating a group, and Clarence has asked a great question. Can I switch my group to the Princess Celebration group?
So this program is for new groups as of yesterday, November 15th. So we can't switch an existing group, a group that was already built, into this program, but moving forward, you can build them as a celebrations group.
And if you had individual bookings like we were talking about and you realize, wow, I never thought to create a group out of them, or maybe I have opportunities to add more and create a group, then that option is there because it's not currently a group.
Correct. Yep. And then we will point out the fact that as far as space is concerned for new groups, we have more availability on the spring 7-day voyages for 2022. But as of May of 2022, you'll see lots more availability, right? So still some spots available for the spring of 2022. Absolutely check to see if it's available for groups. If it's open for groups, you could either create a standard group, which is promotional, or you can create a celebration group if they qualify.
Right. And I think working with your BDM, so Clarence, in your situation, talk to your BDM if you got further questions about that. And we're obviously here to make this work and to be successful together. So I don't want you to feel discouraged today, but there is so much power behind this as we move forward. I think we're really encouraged for this. And Jennifer, thank you. And we are going to talk about some of the assets coming up. And let's do that now. We'll move forward to the next slide. So just some of the resources we're making available to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a great team, great marketing team that we've been partnering with to make sure that we could get you the advisor flyer that tells you all the details about this group, everything that we just went over on this webinar, John and I, shared in one quick, 1 to 1.5 page flyer. It's going to be available on OneSource. And then we're also going to create a pass along flyer so that you can customize it with your agency information and then share it with maybe your email list of clients and tell them about the program. We're also going to, at some point, add this to a new celebration group program page. So we have a celebrations page on princess.com right now, but there isn't anywhere where we really talk about our group programming. So we are going to add celebration group programming information to our current celebrations page. And we need social media assets, right? You guys have said to us that you need it in JPEG so that it can be easily shared on your social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is that you're using. So that's coming soon as well. And then, of course, we're going to be working on all the details for the Easier Group program. Yep.
Yeah, and these resources can be used by you just to get your clients thinking about it and get excited about the potential for this type of group and how it can really enhance their experience. And so it's something that you can use to talk to them about. They can be educated on it. And this is a full court press we're going to be putting on this to educate people and get them excited. We see huge upside from this. Now, there's a question from Polly. What if I open the group and don't get all 5 cabins? So I think we just cancel the group at that point and all the bookings, right, Marcia?
No, John.
Okay. What are we going to do?
No. So we do protect the amenities from booking 1, right? So there are things that you have to qualify for, like if you couldn't get a TC if you don't end up with, if you selected 1 for 10 and did the points for 1 for 10 and don't ultimately have enough bookings to earn that, then that unfortunately gets lost. But anything else you selected, like a bottle of wine or anything that's guest facing, the guests would still receive, even if they didn't, the full group didn't come to fruition.
Okay. Cool. Karen's asking, where and when do we discuss the terms of the group? After creating on Polar, or do we call you first?
The terms will come out when the new contract is sent. So there will be terms that are special terms that are included that call out anything that's different from our standard group program offering. So it'll come on the contract that gets sent to you within 72 hours.
Okay. So that's a good question from Karen. Colleen is asking, if I have bookings, and we talked a little bit about this, but how can she go in and pull them into the new celebration group? By creating the group and attaching those existing bookings?
Correct. So you would go into Polar Online, create the group, and you're going to be given a T number, right? And once you have the T number, then you can apply that T number to your existing bookings. The one thing I'm not clear on is if you can apply a T number yourself on Polar Online. I do know you can do it if you chat. So if you can't do it on Polar Online yourself, then you can chat with us and have the T number applied to the bookings.
That's great. And one of the things not mentioned here, but I'm just going to challenge the team from a resource standpoint, is that I really want to build an academy module out of this to really help train you on selling these celebration groups. And I'm going to ask not only Marcia to join me in that training video series, but I think we should bring in our good friend Charlie Sylvia from CLIA, because you remember Charlie helped us do the Sales Expert program and allow us to benefit from his expertise, his knowledge, his amazing energy and passion for cruising. And I think we're going to get Charlie, I'll talk to his agent, he's very expensive. I think we're going to get Charlie into that video series as well. Okay, so I think, Marcia, what would be helpful, and thanks everybody for all your questions. I know we're not getting to all of them. There's many we're going to get to at the end here from the pre-registration, and then we'll try and answer. There's some live ones submitted earlier that I want to get to, but I want to just clarify. Maybe I'm going to quiz you, Marcia, because clearly you are the queen of groups. You know everything. We forgot to do a tiara or something just to signify your presence. We're going to challenge and
I like diamonds.
defining.
I like diamonds, just so you know.
I've got some CZ diamonds I can get you. What is a celebration group? Because I want to make sure this is clear. So imagine, so years ago for my mom's birthday, we had a group on board of us, obviously family. We were there to celebrate her birthday. And does this qualify as a celebration group, or is this more like a spec group, Marcia?
This absolutely is a celebration group.
Yes.
Yeah, we did say you're shy a couple people, right?
We are. But imagine that we had 5 cabins. That was the minimum, and we had those 10 people in total. That yes, this would be a celebration group. And now,
absolutely.
I am, as you all know, a big hula hooper. I am a world-class hula hooper. And if I were to put together as the travel advisor a group for people that love to hula hoop, and I was going to get myself as the world famous hula hooper to perform for that group, would this qualify as a celebration group?
That's going to be a hard no, John. Hard no. These people don't necessarily know each other, right? And you know what? You're going to need time to promote, right? So the way that this celebration group program has been built is it's not going to do well for any kind of a group that needs promotion, right? So no.
Yes. Okay. What if, and as you know, in addition to my hula hooping skills, that I am a bit of a professional axe thrower. And this is from my trip in Alaska this summer up in Ketchikan. Let's show the video of just how good I am at axe throwing.
Oh, all right. Are you going for the window?
Okay, maybe I had some practice I need to do. But
I don't suggest you use that as a sales video for getting people to join you.
Okay, I've been practicing since then. So imagine I was to get together a group of people that all love to throw the axe, and we were going to have a professional, like not me, the lumberjack there, who's going to come and demonstrate that for them. Would that qualify as a celebration group?
No, it would not. No.
Same reason as the hula hoop, right?
Same reason.
Each other. It's not really what this program is intended for. So no.
It could qualify as an affinity group, but it is not a small celebration group.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Now we did announce a new cruise that's coming up, a group that's happening on board, a theme cruise, if you will, in honor of our dear friend Gavin MacLeod, who passed away recently at the ripe age of 90. Man, he lived such a full life, and he was so blessed. And we're going to honor his legacy on February 26th. We have a 7-day Mexican Riviera coming up, and we're going to have the cast of the Love Boat joining us. So there's going to be all sorts of fun and festivities happening. Now, this is a tricky question because I'm just going to test myself on this, Marcia. I think I know the answer to this.
Okay.
If you are just going to put together a group to put into this voyage as a speculative group and just get some people on and offer an amenity or OBC or whatever, then it's not a celebration group. But let's say you're going to create a group, and I'm assuming this voyage is still open for groups, by the way. It's a good question.
Yep.
That you're going to have a family reunion or a 50th birthday on this voyage to celebrate together, but also celebrate our dear friend Gavin. Then I would say, yes, it is a celebration group. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. You know, what if you're celebrating, an 80th or a 70th birthday, and they are super fans of the Love Boat, right? This would be a perfect thing to put that family group on, where they're going to have some special events going on as well.
Yep. I think this is on the Majestic Princess. John, you could celebrate hitting the target. It's a low blow, Paul. A low blow. Accurate, but a low blow. Okay, so that is what we have for Celebration Group program, the new one. But I just want to remind you, I'm going to spin through these next slides, and then we're going to get to your questions.
We're going to answer some questions for sure.
Yeah, so just to quiz the audience, if you have a question, is the fastest way to call us if you need help is true or false. It is definitely False. You do not want to call us first. The first thing you want to do is check Princess Answers. This is I would say the Google of all things Princess. It's the same search engine that our team here in the call center is using to figure out what the answer to your question is. We all use it internally. It's got some great features. So please go to Answers first. And then if you still need a little help, chat second. And these are not bots. These are people that have been trained to answer your question. I have had no luck with bots in my personal experience on any chat feature. So the fact these are human beings means everything. And remember, there's 2 chats. There's Polar Online Chat and there's OneSource Chat. Polar Online Chat is really going to help you manage your bookings. OneSource is more behind the scenes and agency updates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'll share the reason we share these things is because we're going through some growing pains in the contact center, right? We've got some, fairly long hold times going on right now. It's absolutely not where we want to be, but we're experiencing the same difficulties that, a lot of industries are experiencing, where it's hard to get people back into these roles, right? So we share these other avenues because we don't want you to have to hold, but that is where we are right now. And these are other options so that hopefully you don't have to hold and you can maybe self-service yourself in areas that don't need an actual live person.
Right. And if you factor in the hold times and how long it takes between hold, the call time, et cetera, if you use chat, it'll save you up to 60% of your time. So chat on the left, calling on the right. Maybe a bit extreme, but hopefully that sinks in. And so that 60% savings is, Medallion Class saves you time on board, and this chat feature, of course, saves you time here. Princess Plus, you guys do an amazing job selling this. I don't need to tell you about it, but for a 60%, talk about 60%. There's a recurring theme here. The money you save buying all these 3 most popular amenities: the Premier Beverage Package, the Medallion Net Unlimited, and the Crew Appreciation. It was called Crew Incentive. We changed it to make it more positive. Crew Appreciation. Those 3 things, you bought them separately, $95 a day. With Princess Plus, $40 a day, almost a 60% savings. And of course, totally my idea, that extra price that's included, because the price is more, because the $40 a day added is commissionable. So it benefits you, but it's really about the value to your clients. And I recommend all my friends and family get Princess Plus, and you do an amazing job. So thank you of selling that.
Your idea, John, or the puppet's idea?
Same thing, really. It's my doppelganger. We have the same brain, or the lack thereof. Princess Military Benefit. We just celebrated Veterans Day. It's our way of saying thanks to all those who have served, up to $250 in onboard credit once you've registered. DD 214, I think is the form. Once you get that registered in our system, it's always there, and it's just combinable as well. So if you have a celebration group, let's say you're doing some guys that serve together, gals that serve together, they want to do a reunion trip, they know each other, this would be a perfect celebration group.
It would. Yep. They'd get the military benefit in combination with everything that comes with the celebration group program. Yep.
Amazing. So our thanks to those who have served. And then I always like to ask the question, why do we cruise? Why is there such a thing as the cruise industry? And clearly I've benefited from it personally, and as you have, Marcia, and taking these great trips with your family and seeing the world. And at Princess, it's so important for us. We like to think it's about connection, right? You're connecting with your loved ones, the destinations, you're connecting with that, and with new people. Some of the fun of going on a trip like this is you meet new people that have a shared interest. You meet new crew members that you may want to, where's that crew member? I want to go on his ship or her ship again because it was so special. And we've actually just introduced a TV commercial to talk about going on a real vacation. So let's roll that video right now, please.
We're all ready for a real vacation. One where you can sip tropical drinks with fruity garnishes without having to get up. A vacation where you don't have to sweat the small stuff, like rummaging for room keys. And a vacation where drinks and Wi-Fi that's fast and reliable are all included. Because when you're on a real vacation together where you don't have to think about anything, you can finally enjoy everything. Come aboard a Princess Medallion Class cruise with Princess Plus, and let's take a real vacation.
And I think what's so important about that video, seeing it now, I've seen it multiple times, I love it every time it gets to me, is what we're talking about here is we've had to kind of make do with weird vacations over the last year and a half. And whether it's going to, getting an RV or doing Airbnb, and those are all great. But at the end of the day, you got to make your own dinner, your own meals, you got to clean up after yourself. And it's not as relaxing as going on a Princess cruise. I just checked into a hotel after the Enchanted Princess for a couple nights. I get to the front desk, and it basically was here's what you're not going to get while you're here. We don't have room service. The bar is limited functionality. The restaurants are open limited hours and not full service. We're not going to clean your room. Literally, this is what they told me when I checked in. This is a nice property. And I thought, oh, this is great. And that's not what you experience on a Princess Cruise. And our net promoter scores have never been higher, and the service levels are off the chart. So
yes.
Just ask you and your clients where you're going next. I benefited from Alaska this summer. We had a great trip, as you know, and planning. We're booked to go down to Mexican Riviera, 10-day cruise over New Year's up into the Sea of Cortez. Super excited. Follow me on Facebook if you're not already. Go and don't search for my name, search for Princess VP Sales. And with that, let's get to some of the questions that were submitted ahead of time, shall we?
Yep. So we preloaded some of the questions from the registration process. So we'll answer some of those first, and then we'll kind of go through some of the questions you guys have asked via Facebook and YouTube.
Great. Can I move existing reservations into a small group? We covered this, but recap it real quick, Marcia.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, if there's still group space available. So if you can open a group, then you can open either the standard or the celebrations group, and you can put the T number on to existing bookings, right? So that is a yes. But unfortunately, we're not moving like an existing group. Like basically the program that we had at that time was already, sold the space. So we're not going to move an existing group into the new program. So new groups starting yesterday, moving forward.
Great. Next up, are deposits going to be required to create the celebration group packages? So you said no bulk deposit.
Yep.
But once the bookings are added, then.
Correct. No bulk deposit, but there are booking deposits required. Yes.
Right. Okay. Is this available on all cruises?
It absolutely is. So as long as there's a group space available, a celebration group can be created.
Great. How many berths to get a free TC? Well, the answer to that depends, right?
Yep, it's up to you. What you decide is best for this particular group. So you can buy down the TCs with your points, or you can leave it at the 1 for 16, right? But the choices, you have a choice of a 1 for 16, which is what defaults. You can go to a 1 for 14, a 1 for 12, or a 1 for 10. And they all have a different range of points in order to achieve them.
Yeah, it really depends, I think, on the size of the group, how many people you expect to get, and where do you want to take that value and add it? Do you want it on board credit? Do you want, to use your points for things to get on board, or do you want to buy it on that TC and share that value? It could be a free bed that somebody gets a free bed, and you're going to share that with your clients. And so it really depends on you and how you want to manage it.
Exactly.
Will we be able to arrange dining in advance for our group so they can sit together? Yes, we talked about Dine My Way and how we don't turn on access to Dine My Way until you pay in full, you're Platinum or Elite, or you're in a suite. So if you have none of those qualifications, don't worry. As part of a celebration group, you get early access to manage your dining as soon as you have created that group and you have the bookings created, and off you go. Okay, why does Princess require 8 cabins booked to get 1 traveler free? Other cruise lines require only 5. Okay, so we talked about that's the TC ratio, and it's up to you. Our default is the 16 beds, right?
Yep.
But you can buy it down and go down to 5 as well. But it's the flexibility is up to you and your group.
Exactly. Yep. You're doing good, John.
Michael, what if a family group increases over 20 cabins? Does it fall off being a celebration group? No, that's a great question. I don't know that we covered the limit on the top end of how big can a celebration group be. Well, it depends on how big your family and friends are.
Yeah. So the limit or the maximum size for a celebration group would be 99 cabins. So you could go up as high as 99 cabins, but you can't take allocation out for that amount, right? The max allocation is the 20 cabins, but as long as space is available, you could continue to book their family and their friends into this group to go with them up to 99 cabins.
Yeah, and just remember, those people need to know each other. They're going to be attached through the dining, through the messaging, all preloaded, and so make sure that's truly a celebration group.
Yeah, you don't want to put people in here that are not, that don't know each other well, and would not be happy to receive messages from each other.
Yes. Okay, what else? Kathy, will Princess Plus and Princess Saver display when creating the group so you can choose the combination?
Princess Plus and Saver display. No, so we have to pick one for the group, being that it's a contract. So that's why we allow you. It defaults to Princess Plus, but you can tell us, you know what, I want this to be Savers. So we can change it so that the contract reads the Saver rate, or we leave Princess Plus on, and you tell us who doesn't want it, right? So then we can take the Princess Plus off individual bookings. So the contract needs to read one way or the other, and we have to do that for you.
Right. Right. But we give you that flexibility so you can make the changes once you've created the group. Okay, so let's do the survey so we can see what you all learned and whether you're still deer in the headlights or whether you're all experts. So in Facebook, you can see that we have now the survey, the poll questions there. So please fill that in if you can. And then we'll take a few more questions and we'll go through some of the live questions. And I appreciate you all hanging in. This has been good, though. Will retired military receive discounts in addition to the group rate?
Yeah, well, our celebration of military is an onboard credit.
Yeah.
So it's not a discount, but it is an appreciation for their service, and it's an onboard credit.
Right.
Yep. And that can be combined with this group.
Yep.
Lots of combinability, which is what Princess is known for, is not excluding many things. So shareholders, anything that you would qualify for with us for a standard booking would also work in your group booking.
Yep. Okay. How many groups may an agent open? This is a good one. Example, one for Mexico, one for Alaska, one for the Caribbean. That's a great question based on your agency and how many groups you get.
Correct. Yeah. So each agency, based on your relationship with Princess, has a certain number of groups they can have per month. So we no longer have a per trade, per quarter type thing. So standard relationship with Princess, you can have 8 groups a month. If you're a premier with us, meaning your account has over $500,000 worth of business with Princess, then you get 16. And if you're strategic, woohoo, like you sell more than $1 million worth of revenue for Princess a year, then you have 24.
Yep. And so that allocation then, the number of groups you can open ties to that number. And we believe, and this is something we're going to keep a close eye on, if you feel like you need more groups, talk to your BDM, right? Don't be shy and say, listen, my agency's already capped out. We've got our 8 open or whatever, 16 or 24. I need more. Talk to us and we'll work with you to make that happen.
Yeah.
We believe a lot of these groups are already existing within the number and the limits that we have. And that's why we're not just saying you've got more groups that you can open, specifically the celebration groups, but we're going to keep a close eye on this. And if we need to increase that number or give a different allocation of groups that you can open that might be celebration, we will then work on that. So don't be shy.
Absolutely.
You never have been. We'll make sure to work it through with you.
Yeah, like anything that's new, we'll be flexible and try to figure this out.
Yeah, max staterooms, we covered that as 98 that fall within this. And if you've got a large group above that, then obviously we're going to keep servicing that. We got the new loyalty and events manager on board to help work it out, and our group promise that will help support the larger groups that we really didn't talk about today, but that's our plan.
And we really didn't go into the maximum either, because the average number in these family groups is usually so much smaller, right? But there is a maximum.
Yep, absolutely. Do we have more preloaded questions, Joe, or are we good? Are we going to show the survey results? Or I can take a few live questions.
Yep.
I'll take a few
let me
live
look at some of these too.
Is there a way to share that commercial on social media? I think if we haven't done it already, we will. I think it's on OneSource that you can share the link to that. So Karine, good question. So yes, you can share that for sure. If it's not already there, we will make sure to get it there. Jeanette is asking, would a small wedding, all right, we'll ask Ron's question. Can we book a celebration group and celebrate Marsha's 21st birthday? Yes, we can, Ron. Way to suck up to Marsha.
Thank you, Ron.
Jeanette, yeah, there we go. Would a small wedding be okay for this group? Actually, you typed it okay, and it was transcribed incorrectly, so Jeanette does not take the blame for that. Yes, that would be a great way. I think weddings is something that Princess does so well, and they can definitely apply to the celebration group program.
Absolutely.
Can you have a single or triple, or must it only be 5 cabins of double occupancy?
Yeah, you can have a single, and with our group program, actually, because usually that single, if they're paying 200% for the single space, then they count as a double towards the TC earning, right? That's only fair, right? And then the triples, so we're only counting lower berths towards the TC count, but you can have triples and quads as well, right?
Yep. What about EES groups? I don't even know what that is.
I don't either. What is an EES group?
I'm sorry, Albert and Victoria.
Maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, please expand on your question. We'll get to it in just a second. Linda's asking, will you be doing more first responder discounts or onboard credit? This has been a great program for my clients. Yeah, we put this program out, the sweepstakes, and now the ability to book some of our cruises at 50% off. And we're really looking to formalize this as an evergreen program, much like our military benefit. And so I would just say watch the space, but we're definitely focused on making this happen. So thanks, Linda, for that. Joy is asking, Dine My Way only has table for 10 max, and I don't see a way to make it for 16 and have them be near each other. Can you add group dining capability?
So we're actually going to have to look into that. That I did not understand that. So thanks for sharing it, and we will take a look.
Yeah, I know there's a way to do that. That if your group size exceeds the table size, there can be multiple tables selected, but maybe it's not showing in the app right now, and that's something they're working on. But it definitely has come up in the past, and so I think the answer is yes, it will be there. It's just a question of when. So the clarification: Expedia exclusive stateroom. Sorry, didn't recognize the acronym.
Okay, and the question, Joe, was,
does this apply for these staterooms? Great question.
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to check into that.
We'll look into it, but we're not sure why that would be an issue. Will the double name change apply to regular groups also? This is from Deborah.
No, it will not. Yeah, the double name change and everything that we talked about today is specific to Celebration Group Program.
Yep. Me going back up to the live questions. So Holly says, we were traveling together with a group that was traveling together in 2020 that was canceled due to COVID, and we've decided to take a week and travel again trip. Can this be a celebration group? As long as you guys know each other and you're a family or friend group, then absolutely. We'd love to have you back and create the group as a CG group, celebration group. One of three angels. What's the code for military benefit? So it's not a code. You have to get registered in Polar Online using, and I think the military form is DD 214. I could be wrong. So there's a form that you get that basically you send us that validates that your client meets the requirements for the military service that we have. And it's US, Canada, UK, Australia, et cetera. So each of those are going to have their own types of forms. And once you're registered in the system, then the benefit is automatically applied, the onboard credit. So you don't have to actually do anything in terms of when you make the booking. You just got to get your clients registered up front. Okay, the poll results are in, and we're going to show, I think, how we started before. So only 4% were Genius, 12% Solid Grass, 42 Very Basic, 43 Deer and Headlights. And now, after, we've got 14% Genius, 71% Solid Grass, 14% Very Basic, and 1% still Deer in the Headlights. That could have been me because I did vote. I think so. Eileen is saying, I'm looking at Polar now and I don't see the option to enter the CG Affinity group. Is there a specific page?
Yeah, John, do you still have the presentation there? So it's when you're creating the group, and that's at the point where you can type in the group name. And it's a drop down under affinity type. Here, there we go.
Are you saying, Eileen, that it's not there? Because didn't we test this? It's there, right?
We did. That's how I got the screenshot.
Yeah. So you should see it there, Eileen.
I'll check it when we get off too, just to make sure. But it was working, and it should be up and going.
So Jason is asking, does Jill Whelan have anything to do with this as the celebrations ambassador, or is there a connection to whatever she's doing? Yes, we actually had Jill on board the Enchanted. She came out on stage, and we're very excited. We actually, Marsha and I have a meeting in 2 hours to talk about how to integrate Jill into this. Remember that, here's where I think this is going to land, just giving you some inside scoop. Remember I talked about that Academy groups, celebration group training module? We're going to have Charlie in there because he's a rock star. I expect we'll also have a special guest and surprise showing from Jill, because she is our celebrations ambassador. She's so passionate about all things princess and traveling as a group. So yes, I think you can expect to see Jill in the near future.
And actually, it's really interesting. If you look at our princess.com page and go to the celebrations page there, it's so much information there from Jill. There's videos of her having sailed with us, celebrating a milestone with her family. There's actually a blog page where our guests have shared with us different reasons why they have sailed with us, celebrating different milestones. So it's just a real natural progression for us.
Yep. I'm going back up through the question. I know we're running late on time, so we're probably going to wrap this very quickly. Todd, can a current affinity group be converted to a celebration group?
Yeah, we've answered
You
this.
said no.
No, yeah, unfortunately not. We have to put a stake in the ground for when the
Yeah,
program
it's hard.
starts. Yeah.
Okay. You know, let me go to the very beginning. There was a couple good questions there. Was about
Lee Joyce asks, is a couple celebrating an anniversary qualified for this program? And absolutely. Yep, anniversary is a milestone for sure.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so David, you asked the question. This is very early on, David Kronk. Will Princess do away with the mask requirement since everyone is required to be fully vaxxed and tested 2 days prior? I just got off another cruise line and they don't require a mask since the entire cruise is fully vaxxed and has a negative COVID test. I can tell you right now, our corporation, and Princess is part of the Carnival Corporation, is taking a very focused policy and focused attention on doing everything we can to avoid the spread. And another question came about boost and whether the boosts are required, a booster shot if you're past your 6 month. And so we haven't come out with an official policy on that. But I think given where things are heading in terms of vaccine efficacy after the 6 month window, and as we go into the holiday season, we are going to continue right now requiring the mask on board. And having just been on 3 cruises where I had to wear a mask, I have to tell you, it's not everywhere. You're outside in your cabin. You know, if you're walking down the corridor, you don't have to wear it. It's when you get into an elevator, you're in a theater, you're going into the dining area or a bar, and then once you get there, you're able to take it off and enjoy your meal and your drink. So maybe I'm just used to it, but I have to say I didn't find it to be that much of a problem. But I take your point. It's a good question, David. But right now we are sticking with our policy, and appreciate you bringing that up. And also Olga, who brought about the boost. And so right now, all we're requiring, Olga, is that you have the second dose of your vaccine 2 weeks prior to your cruise. We have not made any mandates related to booster shots. So we'll see how that situation evolves. And then Michelle's saying, at what point will Princess Denise, where do I find Princess Answers? So that's a great question. You can find it on princess.com. You can find it on onesourcecruises.com. They're both in the links through that. And make sure to keep an eye on that page and check it every day. Test yourself. Like, you know, you'll see some of the most frequently asked questions. It's a good idea just to go in and see what are other people asking. And you might have just a 5-minute chance to check that out, and away you go. All right, we've answered a ton of questions. We've gone late. I apologize. This is one of the longest
Thanks for
webinars we've ever
sticking
had.
with us.
Yeah, you stuck with us, and great questions, great information. Thank you, Marcia. Again, the queen of the groups. We appreciate everything you've done to get us this far. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody that supported us from behind the scenes. So it was definitely a team effort.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was mostly me. Listen, we're not going to have a webinar next week. Next week is Thanksgiving. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and hope you get to spend some time with family and friends and carve that turkey or whatever it is you like to eat on Thanksgiving. Hope you have a great time. My sister's coming out from Connecticut. I haven't seen her in 2 years, so she's going to be visiting. I'll be off all next week, so the share price should go up since I won't be working. Thank you all for attending. We appreciate it, and we're very excited for the new Princess Celebration Group program. Thanks again, Marcia. Take care, everybody. We'll see you all very soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.